Welcome back to another episode of Turn Up the Heat. Today we're making an awesome fermented pepper mash. So for this, it's super simple. All you need is some fresh peppers and some salt. That's it. Those are the only ingredients. Make sure your salt does not have iodine in it because iodine can slow down the fermenting process and can sometimes kill it altogether. So I'm going to start out by measuring out 1.5 pounds of my peppers. A good rule of thumb is you're going to use about 1 teaspoon of salt for every ½ pound. So I'm going to go ahead and take my peppers and make sure to cut off the stems because you don't want those in your ferment. And then afterwards I'm going to add this to my food processor. But first we'll cut up 1.5 pounds here. So we're at the pound right here. Alright, so make sure to cut off all the stems. Don't bother about cutting up the peppers, that's what the food processor is for. Alright, once you're at the amount of peppers that you want, in my case 1.5 pounds, I'm going to go ahead and add these to the food processor. You can also use a blender if you don't have one of these. These might not all fit, so I might have to blend them down a bit first. Yeah, I think we're going to have to do that. So I'm going to blend this down a bit just to get it so that they fit a little bit better. Okay. Alright, now that our peppers are all chopped up into our food processor, we're going to go ahead and add our salt. So make sure to add 1 teaspoon for every ½ pound of peppers. So I'm using 1.5 pounds, so I'm going to add 3 teaspoons to this mixture. So we're just going to measure out 1. Here we go. And a second one here. There we go. And a third. Just like that. Now go ahead and put your lid back on and blend it up again, just to get that salt nice and evenly distributed. Alright, with our salt all mixed into this now, we're going to go ahead and add this mixture to a mason jar. You also want to get a lid that preferably has this little fermentation bubble top thing here. So what this will do is that as this ferments, gases are going to expand out of here, and you just want to make it so that they have a place to escape. If you don't have one of these fancy lids, you can also do what's called burping it, where basically you take it and you just slightly unscrew the lid, let out that gas, and then screw it back on. And you do that about twice a day. But what we're going to do is add our mixture. So I'm going to do it over this bowl in case I spill. Pretty thick, so be mindful in pouring it. And fill up your jar so that you have about 1 to 2 inches of space up top of air. If you have more than that, you could invite mold and bacteria, and if you have less than that, it might explode because it's going to expand a little bit. I can already see all those juices from the peppers already starting to look really tasty. It's like super juicy, which is exactly what we want to see. Now that all of your peppers are poured into your mason jar, go ahead and just kind of take like a spoon or a fork and just kind of push everything down to make sure there's no air pockets. Air pockets can invite mold and other stuff like that, which is not good. So after you've made sure there's no air pockets, go ahead and put your fermenting, actually, before doing that, go ahead and take a little bit more salt and sprinkle some salt on top. And this will just be a little bit extra just to prevent any bacteria from growing on the surface. Just like that. Alright, now you can go ahead and take the lid and screw that thing on. And now with this, you just want to leave this in a place that's dark and about room temperature for a long time. So the bulk of the fermenting process will take place between 2 to 4 weeks. But a lot of people let their ferment go for 3, 4, even 5 years. The longer you let the ferment sit, the better these flavors are going to develop, and it's going to be a much richer flavor. But at a minimum, you want to let it sit for about 4 weeks. So just take it, put it in a dark cabinet, and forget about it. Now if you have a lid, you do have to burp it if you don't have like the fermenting lid like I do. But pretty much just set it and forget it. Now if you get mold, white and gray mold is fine. You can just scrape that off. That's not going to hurt anything. But if it's like a colored mold, so if it's like green or red or brown or something like that, your whole batch is pretty much ruined. So hopefully you don't have that happen to you. I've never had any issues with mold with a ferment, but I do know people that have. So just pay close attention to that. And that's about it. Make sure to check back next week for the next episode of Turn Up the Heat. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you liked this video, please leave a comment. I'll see you next time.